Session 605. Good evening. Now, there are breakthroughs, however, in space and time as you think of them. Remember, all times are simultaneous. Ideas are not dependent upon pre-existing ideas. It is not true to say that man cannot conceive of something that is not already presented to his experience in one way or another. Ideas are free of space and time. Only your determined focus upon your time conceptions closes you off from many ideas that otherwise are available. In your terms, the bleed-through can occur in both past and present. An idea from today bleeding into the past or the other way around. The ideas will be actualized or put into a practical structure according to your attitude toward them. Some of the most sophisticated art is from the past. Bleed-throughs result in its being picked up in your present. Theoretically, all of the information of so-called lost civilization is quite available to you, as yours is to them. A closed mind will perceive none of this. In terms of experience, humanity is working out its problems and challenges, and in 20th century terms, and in the old Sumerian civilization. You simply choose various kinds of organizational structures and different root assumptions, all, however, within the general root assumptions used for physical existence. The old Sumerians are singing their chants now, at the same time that Ruber is trying to translate them now in your terms. I wish I could impress upon you this great transparency of time, so that you could experience its dimensions. In one way of speaking, you have in course not yet developed the proficiency with sound that would now allow for the building of structures such as those we described in the last session. Yet, those structures exist even in you now. Bleed-throughs to make you think, and in other terms to make you remember. Many physical structures have existed in your terms in the same space now, occupied by your apartment house. Because of your root assumptions, however, it is not possible for you to perceive these, nor those that will come after in course. Yet those structures exist as validly as the apartment house. They share certain coordinates. Knowing those coordinates would of course be very important, but the other realities would still remain non-realities to you unless you changed your primary focus. When you do that, there is no need to know what the coordinates are. The inner self is quite aware of all of this. It picks and chooses the information and data that is important to you, and makes it available according to your desires. If you are greatly interested, for example, in history, then the inner self brings you the information you need from all of its sources. Under certain conditions, you may be propelled through the coordinates and find yourself in the era in which you are interested. The conscious intent, however, directs the kind of material you receive. If you have no interest in such things, no phenomenon will occur strong enough to impress you in the waking state. It is very possible then to be building a civilization that in your terms you are now studying. to be interpreting ancient records that you yourself may have written, to be digging up roads that you yourself built. This applies to your own historical time as well as to others. At other layers, of course, your civilization is already in the past. As in others, your civilization does not yet exist. The bleed-throughs, however, mean that each people, according to their characteristics, interests, and activities, attract certain ideas both from the future and the past, and there is constant interaction. Because of this, even the past as you think of it, as I told you, is never done and completed, but constantly changed by your present and future. Living then is changed by your present actions, even as you are by his seeming past ones. Your friend Sue said that there is free action across the board in such cases, and that is an apt description. The pyramids exist as other than physical matter, but it is only as physical matter that you perceive them. There are several important issues connected with the pyramids that are not as yet understood. The symbols upon them often were meant to be sounded, the sound setting up reverberations. Some of these would automatically open up many doors, leading to as yet undiscovered secrets, but only for those who understood the use of sound. The Egyptians then were also helped and taught how to construct the pyramids. Now, you may take your break. Now, the information Ruber gave is substantially correct. You know that sound has an effect upon living things. It can help mend bone. It can also be used, however, to reinforce structures. We are in the preliminary stages with the Sumerian language, helpfully leading to some understanding of the nature of sound, though you may not yet be able to build a pyramid in your backyard. Ralph said, I understand. They said, now, I would like you to close your eyes, or leave them open if you prefer. Let various inner sounds, memories of sounds, enter your consciousness that may or may not be familiar to you. Try to think of the sounds of images. Think specifically of pyramids and see what sounds come to you. Rob noted, while Seth was talking, I kept writing, of course, in order to get the material for future reference. Finally, I sat quietly. Jane was already doing so, her eyes shut. I didn't know whether Seth had left again or not. My own eyes closed and I let myself drift. In a few moments, I seemed to visualize a pyramid shape that was based on pictures I remembered of the actual structures in Egypt. This was very pleasant. I seemed to be above the building looking down at it. This image, on a slight angle, was probably more subjective than objective. Then I seemed to feel a deep ringing gong-type sound, one that was rather prolonged. It was repeated several times. After this, I felt and heard a series of chants by an unseen group, seemingly out of my field of vision to my right. They said, that is a very good beginning. Ram noted, I don't know why I used the word gone. I said, I couldn't imitate it. I think there's a funny association there also with old movies. I could have picked up the chanting idea from material Jen was getting earlier this evening. They said, I want you to discover some of these things for yourself, which is why I used this particular format this evening. I will only tell you then that your feeling of the sound of a gong is quite legitimate. I would like both of you at odd moments to look at objects, then try to hear their sound. This will be handy training for some other things to come. This also applies incidentally to various organs of the body, and to the body itself. Then, let the sounds invoke whatever naturally comes from them. There is a strange interrelationship between sound and what you think of as time, but a binding one. Time can then appear, in quotes, as sound. Sound can be used to set apart certain elements from others, to isolate them from others, and on the other hand, to bind elements also. In that regard, think of sound as a line perhaps that you sketch with. Sound's properties are not understood. I want it specifically noted then that sound can be used as a binder or as a separator of elements. It can be used to open up pathways within dimensions,